Yebo. Hi, guys. Welcome to Delite Side of Life with your host, Delite. And yeah, we well within the year and enjoying the year. I am so far. I hope you are too. Yeah, this is my podcast where I speak to people I think I know about things I think I know of. And yeah, it's available on all streaming platforms, audio platforms, Spotify, iTunes, SoundCloud, and now definitely we available on YouTube visually. And yeah, so please subscribe, like, share, let everybody know. And yeah, enjoy us on this journey or come with us on this journey. And yeah, let's get into today's episode with my guest here. His name is 𝗏𝗂𝗁𝗁.
Whoop whoop.
How are you, 𝗏𝗂𝗁𝗁?
Nah, I'm fresh. How are you, my brother?
I'm good. Hey, your whoop whoop is making me change mic volumes. Like,
Do your thing.
you came with a party. It's not December anymore, 𝗏𝗂𝗁𝗁.
Hey, Baba.
You're still grooving.
Today, December is every day.
How did you enjoy your December?
No, it was amazing, man. I mean, crossing over to 2022.
Family time?
Yeah, family is everything. I mean, come on.
Yeah, family over everything.
Yeah, family over
That's
everything. We had a good time. My cousin, my uncle,
Okay.
everybody came through.
Today's episode is not about family. It sounds like it is, but it's not.
Nah.
No, but it's nice, man. Nice to have you here, my brother.
No, it's always a pleasure. You know,
Awesome.
when Delite calls you and say, come
Hey.
to the stew, Baba, you know you've made it, Baba. You know you've made it.
I didn't even know that, but
Yeah,
thank you for
really.
letting me.
No,
But I need
it's
to
a
mention
pleasure.
something. Thank you for coming through. It's your second time, by the way. Eh?
Yeah.
Last time
Whoop,
you
whoop.
came, man, you're whoop whoop. Yay.
What about my whoop
It's
whoop?
messing up the mics, but it's
Okay.
fine. Be yourself. Whoop, whoop.
Yeah.
I'll just adjust to you.
Yeah, you must adjust
You're a
your thing.
special
I'm the
guest.
guest here,
You're a
and the
special
special
guest.
one.
You were here with your cousin, and you guys
Yeah.
were here for Havoc, eh? But today we are here for not Havoc. It was very controversial, but today we're here for more informative. I think something that you are an expert in.
Hey,
some
expect
way.
is such a big word, Baba.
Yeah,
Expect is. I'm still in that field, but I think I'm playing around with that field.
Oh, okay.
Expect is.
So this field, for instance, I think it's very important to get into it, especially this time of the year, is the education system. You know, people are getting ready for school, getting started, applying and,
Yeah.
those type of things. So I want to figure out, where we are, the state of the education system in our country especially, a way forward, what we must fix, what we shouldn't fix, what your views are. And yeah, just to highlight what you do when it comes to education.
Okay.
So that's kind of it. Yeah. So how are you involved in the education system? If I can just put it that way.
Oh, wow. Okay, I'm involved more in the innovative side of education.
Yeah.
What I do is that I seek innovative methods and systems to better the education system. Because one thing I've observed is that generations come and go. However, the education system is still the same thing. You understand? So, for instance, you get a teacher who's been teaching since 1996, 1994, or
Yeah.
whatever. However, they've been teaching different generations of young people.
Yeah.
So the hard part about it is that there's no innovation in between. There's just a system. There's just how do I even put it? There's just a syllabus saying that 1 + 1 is 2.
Yeah.
However, you are teaching different types of generations. You're teaching what we call my 2000, the Z generation. You're teaching guys who were born between the 94 and 98, the born freeze. Then you're teaching those ones who went through apartheid at the same time or whatever. But those people see things differently. I mean, the young ones now are exposed to the internet. They are exposed to a whole lot of information.
Yeah.
So we can't be feeding them the same system that was working.
Because it won't work for where they currently are.
Exactly, because they've got access to information and they are very opinionated as well. So they've got the power of social media.
Yeah.
They've got the power of the internet.
Yeah.
So the system that was introduced worked for those who just opened the textbook and looked at the teacher.
So
Okay.
So does this fall more on the actual syllabus? Is that outdated, like the information that people are teaching, or is it necessarily like the methods in which they're teaching? Like, for instance, last year or 2 years ago, we were faced with the corona situation, and we had to find a new method of teaching. Technology, the internet, you know, certain things that are more effective, you know. I don't know if writing and, you know, reading is that important when we have audiobooks, so you know what I mean. So I don't know, like, if you can touch on that also.
I love how you just broke it down with when COVID hit. I mean, when COVID hit, a lot of our students and a lot of our educators as well, even our headmasters in schools, they were shocked. So moving to educating people virtually and all of that became something so foreign. And it's a sad reality because, wow, 2021, 2020, as a country like South Africa, we should be practicing that from
ahead.
Yeah, we should be ahead, not be forced to do it because of a pandemic.
It should have been the practice.
Yeah, it should have. It should have been something that we already understood.
Yeah.
So a lot of our educators, especially the ones that have been in education for, the ones that basically understand a certain way of doing things, were a bit confused and tricked into adapting to that type of system, because you've been doing something for the past 20 years and nobody has really forced you to do it differently. So now when this forces you to now send homeworks and communicate with parents and learners virtually, it's become something so different. So I think the system and the method, as South Africa, I think, which 2021, 2020, 2022, we should be way ahead. I think it's a bit of a disappointment.
So in that case, what would you suggest the alternative ways to be? How do we fix these issues? Because I'm gonna highlight, we mentioned just like the pandemic and technology being something we had to rely on, but in South Africa, one of our biggest struggles is the internet. And I was just thinking to myself, I'm cheap, by the way. I've been on this rain thing, you know? And it's not the most reliable, it's not whatever, but I think it can allow you to access certain information, you know? And I was just thinking, like, a lot of people don't even have that basic internet, which is like $250 a month. Government can't even supply us with something that basic. So I was worried, especially for kids in certain places where they don't have access to such information, you know what I mean? Where private school kids were more sorted out, you know, they could access the internet, it was at home, they do have Wi-Fi, or they have facilities, the library is right there, stuff like that. So, yeah, what would you say the alternative solutions are? Is it just that? Are there other ways in which we should work around? And are there other things being implemented elsewhere in the world that you might not be aware of?
Okay, number one, going back to what the government is. I love how you use the term the government. I think our political instability plays such a big role. It's no secret that South Africa and maybe some of the African countries, we have a lot of corruption happening. There are so many things that are delaying a lot of progress for personal benefit. We can never condone such, because a child from Kuruman, a child from the Northern Cape, a child from Eastern Cape suffers long term because of personal gain. I mean, South Africa, comparing to all the 54 states of the African continent, we should really be competing with the big boys. So internet shouldn't be
shouldn't even be a
want. It should be a need. Internet,
a basic,
if you can't, need, it should be a basic need in schools. I mean, through Strictly MoAfrika, 2 years back, we had a project with one of the biggest telecommunication companies in the country, installing internet in schools. And principals and educators and learners were so shocked that, wow, we're going to have Wi-Fi. And you think, you sit and think, and while you are in your own space, it worries you that as much as it's township schools, but come on. Internet for a country like South Africa should be something that we don't even talk about, because when you have internet, you have access to information, and when you have access to information, you have access to solutions to problems. So that's what's delaying our country, and I think with some of the African states as well, because of a lot of people don't have access to information, and when you don't have access to information, you don't have the solutions to the problems that's affecting our people, especially people who are on the ground, people in townships, people in villages. I mean, places like Zirast, places like Umlazi, places in the Eastern Cape, in 𝗂𝗃𝗁𝗁 and Cape Town, you understand? Because those people just rely on the little 30 megabytes, and 30 megabytes, let's not forget that there's also social media. You need to get a bit on Instagram.
You're not just going to go straight to Google.
You can't so much just research, you understand? So it's such a painful reality that we don't have that. And
true. I like how you mentioned even the access to internet, that it's like for me with money, we need a lot of it so we can get over the things we're going to waste it on first.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it's human nature to first have fun with it. But at some point, if you have so much of the internet, you're going to end up being productive with it. Because you're like, I've watched all the YouTube videos I could ever watch.
Because it's no longer exciting.
Yes,
it's no longer.
And now let me equip myself with something else. I'm over it now. You know what I mean?
It's like buying. It's like buying your first car.
Exactly.
You have every reason to get out.
Yeah.
You go to the shop with it. Somebody calls you go there. But after a while, you start understanding that this is mine.
That's why
I have access to it.
That's why it looks like rich people don't spend money on frivolous things, because they've already done it. They passed that phase. So I fully agree with you on that. And so would you say the Department of Education is definitely at fault when it comes to not equipping the education system correctly, you know what I mean, sufficiently and stuff like that?
Honestly, I wouldn't just put it on the Department of Education.
Although we pay them all our taxes.
Yeah, I think it's I mentioned the point of corruption. It's something that we have allowed to manifest in the country. So beyond someone who's in the Department of Health is complaining about the same thing. Someone who's in the department.
You mean that?
Yeah, I think it's a culture that we have naturally accepted. I mean, a lot of people don't pay their speeding tickets because we live in a world that you just buy cold drink. You understand?
Yeah,
so we live in a world that's so messed up that I think we need to fix it not from the ground up.
Yeah.
We need to fix it from the top and go down, because the decision makers are at the top, and they have created a culture of corruption and other things. So it has a ripple effect to the guy who's sitting in 𝗧𝗵𝗵𝗯𝗍, the traffic cop who's on the M1 highway. Because it comes from the top, which is a problem. So if we can deal with the top, if the leaders of the African continent can start thinking about the continent and the future. I mean, Africa is one. Africa honestly is open for business. We have minerals. We have so much to offer to the world. However, the problem is our systems. It's our leaders, our way of thinking. I mean, I think if we can change that.
Would you say our thinking is narrow-minded?
Yeah, I think we still have a long way to go. I mean, I'm not taking it away from certain. I mean, Botswana, Tanzania, they are doing big things in the innovation space for the young people. So why can't other countries implement?
Why can't we?
Yeah, because I've got friends who came up with the best solutions to the world's biggest problems, but who've opted to actually move from the continent and to different states to say that I've come up with this, and they've bought it, and automatically that idea, that concept becomes American. It becomes, it moves from...
Because it can only develop in those states.
Because they are supporting you. So when they support, it's only fair to say that
it's from them.
It's from them.
Yes. So would you say that this is where maybe private education is essential and it's needed? Because clearly our leaders are failing us, you know, the people we depend on, the people we pay to take care of us are not taking care of us. And I think, you know, taxes are the equivalent of some of this private education. you know?
Yeah.
I don't know. Would you say that there's a need for private education? Because I'd also say that I've also seen some private schools not really doing much.
Yeah.
More. So I don't know what private schooling really is anymore. You know, is it a better education or is it just the fact that it's not government?
Honestly, in the industry that I'm in, I've honestly seen a better avenue in the private education space, because I deal with learners. I go to schools that when I get, I'm honestly shocked.
You shocked at what? Like
at the space. I mean, just getting to that space before you even arrive at the school. Just the environment, you can understand that. Wow.
Well, it's nice to be there. You're not in a hurry to go home. Like
but
even as a student, you probably on some. I want to stay at school. I want to do my work because it's pleasant.
No, actually the opposite.
Oh, you're referring to the public schools?
Yeah, to the
my
public
bad.
schools.
I'm not hearing you.
Yeah, no, to the public
teasing.
schools.
My
It's
bad.
actually the opposite.
Okay, my
Then
bad.
Before
yeah.
you even
I thought you were
get
referring to the private. Yeah.
Before you even get to the gates of the school, I mean, for instance, you drive about 500 kilometers from Pretoria because you've got a meeting with the principal in Northern Cape, Eastern Cape, wherever.
Yeah.
Just approaching the school, you can automatically sense the environment.
Please give us a.
Sometimes the environment is
Understand.
not as conducive. You can,
Yeah.
what you mentioned, the internet. I mean, a learner deep in the Northern Cape, internet is something so foreign to her.
a
So
luxury.
whether she's so good in her academics, her applying at UJ, at VETS, at UCT,
Can't even apply because
she automatically falls between the cracks because she could have the best percentages. She could have distinctions. She could be humble. She could not. Our teenagers are very curious. She could be that one who's reserved, always at home and not being curious about what's going on around her community. So she could be the perfect solution to so many problems, but because of her location, it automatically throws her out of
discounts her,
and that's why I always try and preach about gap years. I mean, she's not in a position to go to
Say it
school,
again? Who?
but gap years when she's performed well, but now she's forced to sit at home. When she's forced to sit at home, she has access to boys. She has a lot of time on her hands. If her mom or dad are not present during the day, what happens? That means hormones skyrocket, and next thing she's pregnant. So the other thing is that our communities are quick to judge her, but that's why they say it takes a community to raise a child.
And they say most an idle mind. I don't know the whole sentence, but
dangerous
an idle
mind.
mind has sex, basically.
Because
That's what it means.
you don't have anything else to do. You don't have DSTV.
That's why the
you don't
poorest
have
people have the
Netflix.
most children. The poorest people always have the most
Because
children.
all you can do is entertain yourself.
And
with
life
your
is so depressing that sex is always the best thing you can ever do.
Exactly.
So let's speak about teenage pregnancies in schools. Have you seen that? How bad is it?
I think bad is an understatement. It's terrible because you get. I mean, when I founded Strictly MoAfrika back in 2016, I was focusing mostly on innovation in schools. I mean,
Before we get back to the pregnancy, please, we mentioned MoAfrika. Explain it properly, please. For
Okay,
us,
what I
it is.
do.
And it's the top you're wearing today.
Yeah. You need to think
must see,
Strictly MoAfrika. That's basically what I do. Everything that you manifest, whether it's business, whether it's what, you need to understand that it must be for the African continent.
MoAfrika.
Yeah, Strictly MoAfrika.
Okay.
So, even when you work abroad, I'm not saying people must go abroad, but I'm saying that remember that the African continent there are so many people who need you.
Yeah.
You understand? I mean, even with Delite Side of Life, our first point of contact is our people. Then it moves.
100%.
Yeah, you understand? Because we are talking about things that affect us.
True.
So with Strictly MoAfrika, when I started it, I had a passion for education. However, I didn't see myself teaching in the classroom because that's a bit tricky.
Always the ones who are meant to be teachers who don't want to teach.
Nah, that one,
Always the ones who are supposed to be presidents who don't want to president.
No, I didn't think I was suitable for that space.
So what did you choose instead of teaching specifically?
Because
like,
I
what do you
grew up.
specialize in?
Okay, I grew up in a family of educators.
Yeah.
I mean, my dad is a principal. My aunt is a teacher.
Yeah.
My gran was a teacher. So I've always been exposed to scripts, seeing them mark and all of that. So before actually going to schools, I saw a gap. I realized that with my gran, it was the same thing with my dad, with my aunt, you understand? There was nothing new coming to what the kids were getting.
Oh,
There was nothing innovative. So through Strictly MoAfrika, I decided to start something that's gonna also promote innovation, not only for the African continent, but specific, because if you can get it right with education, you are good with the economy, you are good with politics, you are good with a whole lot of things. Yes. So that's why,
because that's the foundation of everything.
That's
right?
the foundation. With the moment you can start teaching a grade 5 learner about thinking outside of the box,
yes,
you get it right, because by the time she's in grade 7, grade 8, grade 9, they question even what the educator tells them, because they are exposed to thinking, being curious. I think being curious is everything. The moment our youth are unable to be curious, they can't get solutions to problems, because that means they are the consumers and not giving the solutions,
not the providers.
So with the moment you are curious, I mean, I think with Mark Zuckerberg, he was curious.
Yes. Definitely.
He was curious that how can we connect the world through something they use every single day, which is our mobile devices. So his curiosity solved a whole lot of problems.
But he was curious, but also equipped.
I think
he was given the internet we spoke about.
He was given the opportunity
to test this product.
That's what we need in the African continent. That's what we need for our learners. We need to give them platforms that allow them to harness their curiosity.
Nice. So you saw this gap, and basically how do you implement your changes towards the education system as MoAfrika? How do you go about working with the education system? As an organization.
Wow, that's a question actually. One question.
Welcome to Delite Side of Life.
That's a question I always hope that people actually ask. I work with the private sector, I work with government, I work with NPOs, because another thing, when you seek solutions, I can't just, for instance, go to 𝗟𝗂𝗁 in Limpopo and check out a school and some have solutions to that, to what they do. So I need to connect with the NPOs, the non-profit organizations, that side. I need to connect with the department. I need to check what the problems are. I need to gather stats and say, okay, now I'm coming with my team. I'm going to work with this NPO because it understands that our critical, our problem is teenage pregnancy. I've never lived in Limpopo. So understanding the solution to the problem, I need the people from around. I need them to unpack it to me and explain that our youth is unemployed. And when our youth is unemployed, the only thing they can do is sex. So now we've got 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds, teenagers after matric, people who have performed exceptional in their academics, but now they are stuck. Because people are available. When the people are available, they find different ways to entertain themselves.
I like how you went back to the topic that I took you off from, the teenage pregnancy thing. It's an understatement to say it's not bad.
It's terrible. I mean,
it's bad. I mean, you were saying it's terrible.
Yeah, and it's quite painful. Sorry to just get in there. It's quite painful because. I think one thing that I've mentioned is even the culture that we have allowed ourselves to accept. 28-year-olds, 30-year-olds, 35-year-olds are preying on 14-year-olds. So now you've got this learner who's in grade 9 who's impregnated by a 28-year-old. So you understand that you get two different type of girls. This one was pregnant at 15 and this one was not. This one is
Yeah.
already 5 steps behind from this one.
Yes,
As much as this one doesn't have internet, as much as this one doesn't have the funds to go to university, but they are 5 steps ahead from the one who's impregnated at 15, which is a sad reality.
It creates that
So
imbalance.
you're creating a problem on top of a problem. Yeah.
They distract. Yeah, and it's so unfair to the girl child, especially.
It's unfair to the girl child, and it's also
physically
gets
prevented from
Yeah.
going, studying and working
And I think it's also something that we need to look into in terms of educating the boy child as well.
Of what?
Educating the
Oh,
boy
okay.
child. Because I think if we want a balanced society, we need to look at it in a balanced way.
Yes, everyone must play a part.
Yeah, when you say take the girl child to school, to work,
Yes.
why aren't you taking the
about
boy child to work?
Yes.
Because this one must not feel that they are on their own. They also need to feel that society is also on my side. Okay.
Sorry, I think with something like that, take a girl child to work, is they're not thinking as far as the pregnancy point. They're just thinking women have a problem when it comes to maybe employment. Too many men are employed, or in this type of field.
Yeah, the equality.
Therefore, let's show women this field of, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And but you mentioning something very important, that it goes further than that. That's why you still need to keep equipping men, as much as we seem to be more privileged.
Yeah,
we still affect the ecosystem.
We
at the
still
end of
affect the
day.
ecosystem in
So
such a big way.
we need to be educated also together in the same environment, so we can hear what you're telling the other person and so on, not separately.
Yeah,
because
no.
we're all responsible for the same thing. Like
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? No, that's very interesting. And then how do educators play a role in this? How do teachers play a role in not only the pregnancy, because I'm aware of some teachers being involved, but even in equipping kids, like, is it always because of the school that they're employed by, or is it sometimes just up to the educator to fix those things? Do we have less passionate educators? Because I'm familiar with being in schools where even if it's not my teacher's responsibility, they go the extra mile, They stay longer, or they give the child more attention, or they listen to other issues even, family issues, just to help the average learner more,
Yeah.
So I don't know, do you think they play any role in these issues we face?
Yeah, I think when passion fails to meet performance, we have a crisis.
Passion?
When passion fails to meet performance, we have a crisis on our hands, because number one, South Africa has what do I even call it? We have a serious crisis in regards to unemployment. So now people just pop into positions. So I started teaching because it's bad. South Africa doesn't have people who want to teach. So I go and started teaching. Bursary schemes that are giving out bursaries for teaching are everywhere. But now the problem comes to a certain extent that I become a teacher. But character is everything. As much as I went through the 4 years, the 3 years, whatever, as long as I'm not passionate about that, it defeats the whole purpose. I'm just getting a salary for giving a service. But when passion meets performance, I'm passionate about something I'm doing, which leads me to performing very well. So whoever I'm teaching gets to grasp what I'm saying. But if it's all about the salary and putting food on the table, it hits us to a big setup, because now the whole country gets crippled. Because as a teacher, for instance, argument's sake, now we're expecting the grade 12 results in a day or two. So I'm not passionate about teaching. So when those kids fail to understand what I tell them in the classroom, it's not about me, it's about them. I don't care. At the end of the day, I'm getting my salary. So when the performance goes down, no journalist is gonna come to me and say that the science academic for the year is poor. what they'll do is
They focus on the kid.
They focus even on the broad percentage.
Ish.
So I mean, I could have 40 kids who fail in my class. I mean, I could have 41, one pass.
Yeah.
It doesn't affect me. But if I'm passionate about it,
Yes. It will matter to you that I failed 40 kids.
I failed 40 kids.
Yes,
You
yes.
understand? So
It's because there's a sense of pride, dignity.
there's a sense of pride.
Yes. I
Yeah.
get
So you love what you do, and you want the performance to work hand in hand with your passion. But if it's all about putting food on the, it's all about that. That's why I'm saying that we need to deal with it from a higher level.
Yeah.
So that
That
when it goes down, even our teachers, even our learners, even
True.
parents understand. Parents also have a big responsibility of whether your child is in grade 12, grade 7, grade 2. Parents have a responsibility of checking the progress throughout the year. Parents
Yes,
are only
yes.
curious when
There's a problem.
when it's November time
Oh,
and
yeah.
the child is not
True.
being promoted to the next grade.
I was even saying this to someone that I don't understand why parents even trust that the educators are really good at what they do. They keep saying your child did this or your child did that or your child can't what. Have you seen the teacher teach? Do you know that they're good at what they do? Have you sat in a class and seen what your child goes through?
Do you just
every
sometimes
day?
go to the school and say,
just-
I just came to check out
And
on the setup?
Exactly. We don't do that. So we don't even know what's being fed to our children. There's so many underqualified people everywhere, but somehow we believe in the education system. Sharp.
Yeah,
It's
everything
always
is
my
cool.
child. It's my child. you know?
When the numbers drop, we are quick to make a noise
Yes,
about
yes,
it.
yes,
But you've never really monitored
Yeah.
how things are going. I mean,
True.
that's why we've got 4 terms.
Yes.
in
So
a
that
year.
you can at least
Yes.
you can fix those
So
problems way before.
Yeah, you are able to inquire with the educator that my child is not doing well in English. How can I
Yeah.
assist at home? Before pinning the blame on the teacher, on the educator, you must think about you. What are you doing at home when on a Tuesday your child gets home at 8 o'clock p.m.?
Yeah.
You don't question why your child, everything just moves, you understand? So
Until it's too late. It's
until
always
it's
like
too
that,
late.
Yeah.
That's why I think another problem, going back to the core problem of teenage pregnancy, you don't monitor your child's movement. When she comes home pregnant, you are shocked
You would have known that she even had a boyfriend by the time she had a boyfriend if you paid attention.
if you paid attention.
You would have seen the changes, especially a boyfriend who would get her pregnant.
Most definitely,
Yeah,
because that means they have
that's
time
a type
on their
of
hands.
boyfriend.
Ch-
yes.
there's a high chance that
That's
they,
not just a boy at school in JJ.
there's a high chance that they conceive that baby in your house.
Yes, exactly.
Because you are always unavailable.
Ish.
It becomes a problem and you pin it on her.
But would you say that's really, it is a black problem, eh? It's a financial issue because I would say, I'm not saying it doesn't exist amongst whites. Everyone says, oh, not everyone. Yes, of course I don't mean everyone.
Yeah.
But I'm saying, sometimes like with me, my mom was too busy. She was at work every day.
Yeah.
She would try and work on Saturdays, and she did when she could,
Yeah.
just to get in those hours. And so it didn't allow, it forced my brothers to raise me as much as possible. And she did raise me, but you know what I mean? So I had to decide not to be a certain child a lot of the time. Not necessarily my mom enforcing those things. She
Yeah.
just trusted me, but some people can't be trusted. So I think it might be it's so much deeper, but it's probably a black problem, a financial problem, that some parents just can't be there for their child.
And we can't
You
pin
know?
it on the parents. I think with the example that you made now, your mom probably entrusted your brothers because she when she instilled certain morals on your brothers and trusted them with raising you, she knew
It's
that
like,
let me be busy, let me build a life for them,
Yes,
but I've already have 2 sons or a son and a daughter who
Yeah.
I entrust, who I raised to a
Oh,
point
you
where
got it right the first time. 2 sons.
yeah.
Good prediction.
2 sons
Yeah.
who I am able to trust
Yeah,
with this one.
yeah.
Understand? So I think it's also a communication thing. In black culture, honestly, when you start mentioning, having a
Nice.
conversation with your mom about condoms, ooh, like you understand, we don't talk to our kids. Okay, I
Yeah.
think the older generation didn't talk to us. Maybe when the 30-year-olds, the 29-year-olds start changing that mindset because they are having kids now. We need to change that. Because what I know from my white friends, they start having conversations about
Way
sex when
back,
they are
yeah.
16, 15.
Yeah,
So sex becomes part of the conversation with the parents. With us, it's some sort of a taboo.
And you discover it practically. Because you're
Yeah.
like, we're thinking, what's this thing?
Because you're
Whereas-
curious.
Yeah, whereas if you hear about something well enough, you probably don't even have to go and find out. You know enough about it. But now you don't know about it, and who's informing you is misinforming you. So you're like, it's like, let me go and do a practical test on this thing.
And the practical ends up being a 9-month and a lifetime type of practical.
So, I love what you said about basically the parents having co-parenting, right? That's why we would refer to the firstborns being co-parents, because they're there to instill values and stuff, because she's trusting her. They are the equivalent of me.
Yeah.
They will teach my other children exactly what I taught them.
That's why
I think exactly with that, they must remember that school is where children spend most of their time. So as much as you're equipping the firstborn, you probably should equip the teacher even more. And payment of school fees is not enough to equip. She's only accountable to her boss. And you must show her,
Which is
I'm
the
also your
department.
boss.
Which
And
is
come
the
and check
department.
in on her and say, hey, teacher,
check the books.
what's going on? And visit them. And don't just come on a parents' meeting. Because they
When
conveniently
you are
calling.
summoned to the school.
Because that's when they want you to come.
Yeah.
You must go
You
when
don't
they
want to
don't
go.
want to come.
Basically, you are being summoned.
Yes. It's not even about them, it's about you.
Yeah,
So,
so-
make it about them and put that pressure on. And then teachers will feel like, oh, Gary, the only, it's not just up to the students to hold me accountable. There's also parents watching me.
Who are
Let
monitoring
me
the
up my
progress.
game. And you find a lot of teachers are capable. They're just not being held accountable. They're not being, like a coach would do. They're not being,
There's no motivation there.
No, I hear you. And then one more thing, the pass rate and stuff. Come on now. Is it reasonable? Does it make sense?
Nah, not even.
I know people are failing, but we can't pass at 30%.
We keep on taking the pass rate down. I mean, and I think now we are basically saying it's a right to give a less standard of
Yes,
work,
yes.
because the sad reality, honestly, we cannot be doing things from a country like South Africa, for instance. We should be 50. We should be aiming for the top. And now the problem is that young people have access to information. So when we have access to information, you know that if I get 35%,
Oh, the shortcut.
yeah, you know that you are good. You understand?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's only that little portion that's able to be so ambitious to say that, no, I'm not going to settle for 30%. I'm going to go for 60. But it goes back to the background. Mom is unemployed, dad is unemployed, all brothers are unemployed. So the only thing that I'm supposed to do is just to pass grade 12. How I pass it is not my problem. It's not my problem.
I kind of was told the same thing. My mom was just on top. Please just pass.
Yeah, you
Your
understand?
brothers did it. So I was like, oh, this is the only goal.
So you see, the
Then
problem
everything else
comes.
I had to push. Like,
Yeah,
by
the
myself.
problem
Yeah.
comes when you need to study something in vets. But they said I
Then you're
must
like,
pass.
ish,
But now
you didn't
it's,
know. Yeah,
it's very tricky. That's what I'm saying. It
Yeah.
also boils down to the background, what we spoke about.
Yes,
That
yes.
The background, how ambition is being pushed into your system.
what you deem as important.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And how
there's
you
standards
dream,
that
how
in-
you dream
Oh,
as
yeah,
well.
yeah.
Because you can only dream if people are pushing you to dream. I mean, I meet people all around
Yeah.
who believe in Strictly MoAfrika. Sometimes I'm so demotivated, and
Yeah.
they tell me the same as Delite side of
Yeah.
life. You get people that you don't even know, and they're like, push.
They like what you're doing.
So
yeah.
they get to remind you that you are onto something.
You have
But
a purpose.
if you don't have someone doing that, it becomes a problem. You end up falling between the cracks, like I said.
And that's the average black.
Yeah,
child.
as long as you have that grade 12 certificate, you are fine.
And a license.
You are working in
Those things, the ID book,
I'm
license,
fine,
matric.
I'm fine. You being an engineer is something very
Certain.
far from you.
You don't need all those.
You're
just
not
need to
even
pay rent.
thinking that far. You're not even thinking that far because
Yeah.
you don't have uncles who are engineers. You don't have
Yeah.
aunts who are doctors.
It doesn't look realistic to you. It doesn't look purposeful to you. No, that makes perfect sense, man. I also think, even with the pass rate thingy, I also think a lot of people are studying things they shouldn't study and they don't need to study. And that's why I also see private schooling to make sense. Lucas, who's behind the cameras as usual. Savant Studios, by the way, shout out to them. Yes, go and get your images and stuff like that. That was a plug. But Lucas, he studied, he went to a private school. And according to, I think what he mentioned is what I assume, I think it's like most not private school, homeschooling, my bad.
Wow.
Homeschooling.
Wow.
Let me be specific. Yes.
Yeah.
So that caters a lot to who the individual is. And therefore, I think I think a lot of people are failing at 30% or getting 30% for stuff they can get much more for. But some people will always just get 30% for something.
Yeah.
Because that's not for them, And so I think, just catering to certain people. Or certain things. Or I know that we can't like educate 10 people at one time. That doesn't make sense. To pay someone to do that. But maybe find better ways to educate. Like you can't just give me Afrikaans as a second language anymore.
Exactly.
Especially when I don't need it.
Exactly.
Like it's not gonna equip anything. Rather give me Mandarin. I get it. They're taking over the world now.
Yeah.
So I think that's also another thing we need to look into. Update a lot of stuff.
That's where one thing I've mentioned, that's where passion meets performance. When people are not passionate, they're doing it as a job. It defeats the whole purpose. And that's where also innovation comes in. I mean, when I always tell a lot of people that when you fail to innovate, you are deliberately failing to accept the future. You understand? So being enforced to study Afrikaans now in 2022 is something I cannot allow my child to be doing because, like you mentioned Mandarin. Yeah. If Mandarin is going to put my child to an advantage to go study in China, to study at Samsung, to study engineering or whatever, let her, if I've never done Mandarin in my life, let her have that opportunity.
Advantage,
have that advantage because I always say, that's why I say innovation is always so critical in every space because a lot of people now are studying careers that are fading away in 3 years, 4 years, 5 years from now. I mean, a friend of mine posted a picture of a pilot and a journalist covering a story. And he said both the pilot and the journalist lost a job because now we've got the power of drones. No need for you now to go hire a helicopter and start flying. So you've got a drone that's doing. I mean, we've got machines now. I mean, we've even have robots who are librarians. So you get into a library, you tell the robot what to do. It sends you directly to where the book is.
Yeah, I mean,
so imagine now studying something that's not going to work in 5 years.
True.
So I think innovation is also something that we really need to look into. Be creative about how you position the learners as well because sometimes just because I'm good at maths and science does not mean I want to be a doctor. Doesn't mean that I want to be
it's not automatic
engineer.
that's the only thing it's for. Like you mentioned the Mark Zuckerberg, that's a great place to apply maths, programming and stuff like that. But you would have never thought about it because such things didn't even exist. So you must remember to prepare for things that don't even exist yet. You
Solutions
might even create
to problems.
a new industry and stuff.
We need to be positioning our kids to seek solutions, especially for the African market because that's where they are based. You can't be seeking a solution at an environment that you've never been in.
Yes, that it won't apply.
So you need to understand that in Africa we have a problem of load shedding. How can I assist high school learners to study at night?
That's deep.
That's a solution that you can actually make money from.
Isn't that incredible that in a country like the States who need it less, they're actually better off with their Elon Musk when it comes to solar energy?
Exactly.
We should have had the first Elon Musk.
And
because we have the
where's his roots? Let's go back there.
You ran away. No, thanks, man. Wait. Do you want to say one more thing? Maybe
I always quote what my friends want. Or my friend, actually. He's actually one of the guys I respect a lot. He once told me that he actually mentioned it on live on TV. He was being interviewed as well. And he said that if Mark Zuckerberg was African, we wouldn't have Facebook. Because there would be so much red tape in between.
Yeah.
So the greatest solutions to African problems
to live
end up being, they end up failing away because the problem ends up not being a problem. It ends up being something that we accept.
So that's what they teach at MoAfrika. Leave Africa.
No.
Skasala MoAfrika.
No, what we are saying is that push solutions that work for Africa, and if you find an international investor, work with it. But the problem must work for the African continent.
But your friend stated these things. What you are
No, what he was saying was that
that
as innovators in Africa, there's so much red tape that we are losing so much talent. That's why he mentioned that if Mark Zuckerberg was African, we wouldn't have Facebook, simply because he would have given up on the concept of Facebook because of the politics, because of the funding, because of this. So you end up losing a great concept because of the red tape.
Yeah.
That was, he was not saying that people must move.
No.
He was saying that in Africa it's a bit tricky.
Yes.
To put things into
sorry
practice.
To mess up your, it's think strictly Africa, more Africa, not the nonsense I said. Or delete that. Anyway, thank you so much, my brother. I'd like to conclude it there, man. I think I understand a bit of the state and a bit of what must be done. I hope everyone else also understands at home. Thank you for coming to bless us. More Africa, more delight side of life.
More. It's all about more.
I appreciate my brother. We are not used to people of your complexion being so insightful.
We don't need the lights.
We thought it's just a pretty face. You
I'm
know?
here.
But you have shown us that, like a black child who can become great. You know what I mean? Anything is possible.
No, anything is
matter
possible.
what,
You just need to keep on dreaming and
and
thank you for having me. I mean,
pleasure, man.
Like I've said, when Delite calls you, you know you've made it in life. Eh?
Repeat that thing.
When Delite calls you in the stew, you know you've made it.
My ex, did you hear that? When I called you.
So it's about your ex now.
It just sounded
Nah,
nice.
thanks, my
Anyway,
brother.
thanks a lot.
It's always a pleasure.
Blessings to you. 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, where do we get you again?
It's Strictly MoAfrika. It's
Say it again.
Strictly MoAfrika. Africa with a K, guys.
Strictly MoAfrika.
Yeah, Strictly MoAfrika.
Oh,
everywhere.
okay.
Instagram, Facebook.
One word.
Yeah, one word.
Okay, that will be on the screen also.
Yeah.
Thank you. And you are based where?
I'm based in Hebron for now.
Oh, but we can find you on the net and we can access you from anywhere.
I move, Baba. I'm not a Cree.
Yeah. Awesome, my brother. Thanks so much again for blessing us. I appreciate you so much. Yeah. And thank
salute
you,
my brother.
Salute. Thank you to everyone for tuning in. Remember, man, go and subscribe, like, share, let everybody know. Thank you to Savant Studios for blessing us with the imagery stuff. We're on YouTube, as you know, and every other podcast platform. Today, I am blessed with a nice, you see these pens? I get if you see it. Mara, it's by, hey, let me make sure. 𝗶𝗶 Strands. You know when the name is like, when it feels like, and it feels like.
You need the reference.
You'll feel it after this. It's true. That sounds otherwise. Anyway. So anyway, it's called 𝗶𝗶 Strands. And go and check it in the link. So they designed these pants, and thank you guys for blessing me with this nice outfit. Thank you guys for tuning in. This was an awesome episode of Delite Side of Life, and another one next time. I'm away, Master Kenneth.